Alan Greenspan, the enigmatic former chairman of the Federal Reserve, has been a polarizing figure in the world of finance and economics. His tenure at the helm of the United States' central banking system was marked by significant economic growth and prosperity. But it was also marred by financial crises and policy decisions that continue to spark debate to this day. In this video, we will delve into the life and career of Alan Greenspan, examining his impact on the American economy and exploring how his decisions and actions contributed to the financial turmoil that would later engulf the nation. Early life and career. Alan Greenspan was born on March 6, 1926 in New York City. He showed an early aptitude for mathematics and music, eventually earning a bachelor's degree in economics from New York University and a master's degree in economics from Columbia University. Greenspan later pursued a PhD in economics at NYU, completing his studies in 1977. Greenspan's career in economics began in the private sector, where he worked as an analyst and forecaster at the National Industrial Conference Board. In 1954, he co-founded the economic consulting firm Townsend, Greenspan & Co., which provided economic analysis and forecasting services to corporations and governments. Greenspan's expertise in economic forecasting garnered the attention of policymakers, eventually leading to his appointment as chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors under President Gerald Ford in 1974. Federal Reserve Chairmanship. In 1987, President Ronald Reagan appointed Greenspan as chairman of the Federal Reserve, a position he would hold until 2006. His tenure as Fed chairman spanned multiple presidential administrations and saw significant changes in the American economy. Under Greenspan's leadership, the Federal Reserve pursued a policy of low interest rates, which contributed to the economic boom of the 1990s. This period of growth, often referred to as the Great Moderation, was characterized by low inflation, low unemployment, and strong economic growth. Greenspan's monetary policies were widely praised for their role in fostering this prosperity. However, Greenspan's tenure was not without controversy. Critics argue that his policies contributed to the formation of economic bubbles, most notably the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s and the housing bubble of the mid-2000s. These bubbles eventually burst, leading to significant economic downturns and financial crises. The dot-com bubble. The dot-com bubble was fueled by the rapid rise of internet-based companies in the late 1990s. Investors, eager to capitalize on the potential of these new technologies, poured money into tech stocks, driving their prices to unsustainable levels. Some argue that Greenspan's low interest rate policies made it easier for investors to borrow money, contributing to the speculative frenzy that ultimately led to the bubble's collapse. In 2000, the dot-com bubble burst, resulting in the loss of trillions of dollars in market value and plunging the economy into a recession. Greenspan responded by further lowering interest rates, which helped to stabilize the economy and set the stage for a period of recovery. The housing bubble and the Great Recession. The low interest rate environment that followed the dot-com bubble is often cited as a contributing factor to the housing bubble of the mid-2000s. With borrowing costs at historic lows, many Americans took advantage of cheap credit to purchase homes, driving up demand and causing housing prices to soar. Greenspan's critics argue that his reluctance to tighten monetary policy in response to the rapidly inflating housing market, as well as his dismissal of concerns about a potential bubble, contributed to the severity of the subsequent financial crisis. In 2007, the housing bubble burst, leading to a wave of mortgage defaults and the collapse of numerous financial institutions. The crisis quickly spread beyond the housing market, engulfing the entire global financial system and plunging the world into the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. The Great Recession, as it came to be known, had far-reaching consequences for millions of people around the world. Unemployment rates soared, businesses failed, and countless families lost their homes. Greenspan's role in the crisis has been the subject of much debate and scrutiny, with many blaming his policies for contributing to the conditions that led to the housing bubble and subsequent financial meltdown. The aftermath of the crisis and Greenspan's reflections. In the aftermath of the financial crisis, Governments around the world were forced to implement a range of measures to stabilize their economies and prevent further collapse. These measures included bank bailouts, fiscal stimulus packages, and the implementation of more stringent financial regulations. Greenspan's successor, Ben Bernanke, was faced with the daunting task of navigating the American economy through the crisis and putting it back on the path to recovery. Greenspan himself has acknowledged that he made mistakes during his time as Federal Reserve Chairman, admitting that his belief in the self-regulating nature of markets was flawed. In a 2008 congressional hearing, Greenspan stated, "I made a mistake in presuming that the self-interest of organizations, specifically banks and others, were such that they were best capable of protecting their own shareholders and their equity in the firms." Despite his acknowledgement of these errors, Greenspan has maintained that the financial crisis was primarily the result of a once-in-a-century credit tsunami, that it would have been difficult, if not impossible, to predict or prevent the crisis using the tools available to policymakers at the time. Greenspan's legacy. In the years following the financial crisis, Alan Greenspan's reputation has undergone a significant transformation. Once hailed as the maestro of monetary policy and credited with ushering in a period of unprecedented economic prosperity, Greenspan is now often criticized for his role in creating the conditions that led to the Great Recession. Some argue that Greenspan's monetary policies, particularly his commitment to low interest rates, encouraged reckless borrowing and lending, ultimately leading to the formation of unsustainable economic bubbles. Others contend that Greenspan's hands-off approach to financial regulation, rooted in his belief in the self-regulating nature of markets, allowed for the proliferation of risky financial instruments and practices that contributed to the crisis. However, it is important to recognize that the causes of the financial crisis were complex and multifaceted, and it is difficult to pin the blame solely on Greenspan or any single individual. The crisis was the result of a confluence of factors, including lax regulatory oversight, financial innovation, and global economic imbalances, among others. Alan Greenspan's tenure as chairman of the Federal Reserve was marked by both significant accomplishments and considerable controversy. His policies and actions played a crucial role in shaping the American economy during a period of rapid growth and profound change. However, his legacy is also marred by the financial crises that occurred under his watch, with many arguing that his policies contributed to the conditions that led to the Great Recession. Ultimately, the story of Alan Greenspan serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of economic policymaking and the potential consequences of seemingly well-intentioned decisions. As we continue to grapple with the aftermath of the financial crisis and strive to build a more stable and prosperous future, it is essential that we learn from the experiences of those who have come before us and consider the potential long-term implications of our actions. By reflecting on the successes and failures of figures like Alan Greenspan, we can work to develop more effective policies and avoid the pitfalls that led to past crises.